Hey guys, it's me, Karen Ashley. I'm Aisha, the yellow Power Ranger from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and you're watching Action Activate.
What's the matter with the clothes I'm wearing? Don't you know that they're out of style? I am Gazbot. I'm here for Action Activate, and with me, as always,
Big Dawg Defender wearing an old tee as well, repping Midtown Comics in New York.
Oh,
Check them out; they're pretty cool.
Yeah, but mine is, I think, even older. This is the Evil League of Evil from Dr. Horrible, and I
Ooh,
got
nice.
this shortly after it came out, and as you could tell, like many of my shirts, it's falling apart.
You're the only person I know where, like, usually if shirts wear, like, mine's usually around, like, the stomach area, I'll get the little, like, mothbally holes. You're the only person I know that has multiple shirts where the armpit is
I don't
where
know
it
why.
separates.
And here's the thing, like, it's not like I have, like, terrible BO or I'm, like, sweating through it. Like, I don't know why that is, but, oh, this one, too. I didn't even notice how bad this shirt is. But, yeah, it's always on the armpits. I sometimes get little mothballies on the sleeves or collar or whatever, but the armpits, yeah.
Maybe because you would wear them on a bike so much and you would have a backpack that maybe dug in.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, that is a really maybe that because it's not because Ninja Steel because it's even like different brands of shirts, cheap, expensive, whatever. Over time, that's where it goes. So if I really like a T-shirt, I shouldn't wear it when I go bike riding with a backpack.
Yeah, pretty much. Or you need to adjust your straps so
I will adjust nothing. Nothing.
Well, if there's one thing that we're going to find out in this episode, Gaz, it's that sometimes you have to, assess something before you just leap to conclusions.
Really? So you shouldn't just go with your first impression and make assumptions?
Yeah, it's very contradictory because instincts, tell wonders, but also don't judge a book by its cover at the same time.
Instincts tell wonders.
Words have no meaning on a
Apparently. Instincts tell wonders. That was fantastic. Okay, so that's been the show. Thanks for coming.
Hey, this has been Action Activate. I, of course, am.
Episode 10. Oh, sorry, good.
Yeah, episode 10, initial impressions. Like we said last time, we're going to try to go through these faster. So if you like that, let us know. If you hate it, let us know. If you have thoughts, let us know. Initial impressions.
If you don't have thoughts, let us know. The episode called Intruder Alert. Last episode I did say, I kind of had a spoiler. I knew this was going to be the team up with Space Sheriff Gavon. That I knew. It wasn't as spoiled as the last episode, but it was no surprise that he showed up. That being said, I haven't seen a lot of Gavon, but I've seen the more recent movies. I've seen him and Scheider and Charvan and like one episode of the classic show. So enough that I have some familiarity and some affection for the character. My initial thing is it's really hard for me to not think of this character as Gavon. And if I think of him as Gavon, I don't like him. Because Gavon is a much cooler character.
He is, 100%. Yeah. And I had similar feelings about that. I think the only Space Sheriff stuff I've ever watched is with you. And it's unfortunate because I think also that leans toward a more mature Toku audience, whereas this is very much Power Rangers in every sense of the word.
That's true, but that wasn't the problem I had with it. We're getting into details we can get into later. I'll say I did not hate the episode. But
I thought it was pretty good.
Agreed. But I guess what I was saying in the overview is if I didn't know who Gavon was, I would probably like it better.
Same.
Yeah, okay.
Let's dive in.
Yeah, so Intruder Alert, and it starts off with her getting a message. Nate's like, hey, you know that deep space thing that was coming through? Like, here it is. And they get a message saying, and I'm going to be pretty good with names this episode because I have notes. So they say, Ryjack is this international criminal, intergalactic criminal, and he's coming your way, and he's looking to break into your vault where we know you have all that Ranger stuff. This is a weird thing to me, first of all.
Very specific.
It's very specific that they know he's coming to Earth, fine. But they know that Grid Battle Force has a vault full of Ranger weapons, which we just learned about last episode. But they know. But also, we've casually established that there are different dimensions, they're aware of it, and they could travel and talk between them kind of casually. Now we're establishing that intergalactic space, there's lots of other, not just like an alien maybe might show up, but that there's other sentient races that have their own police force, and that's normal, and they might call us. Like, so again, it's not that I dislike it. It's just like they're really just sort of saying time, space, dimension. None of this has any meaning. We're gonna pull whatever we want from whatever, which I like for future cameos and crossovers. But it is weird how lightly they're taking these huge things in their universe.
Yeah. I mean, on the one hand, I appreciate them not spending too much time on it, but on the other hand, I'd like a little bit more. It's a balance, but if I had to choose between too much of us spending 20 minutes to find out this one plot point or them talking about it in 2 sentences, I'll take the latter so we get more action.
I concur. I agree. So they get this message. Yeah, good.
We find out about the message. Another point for the commander. Commander goes, hey, that's an interesting message. Let's get security on the vault. Let's get things going. And Ben and Betty volunteer to protect the vault. They say, hey, we are got some stuff in the works. We know the vault's there. We helped last time. We want to be involved. She's like, all right, go for it. Let's go.
One of the big selling points they had, though, that their father's on a diet and they've been guarding the cookie jar. Not the best selling point.
I didn't find that as a selling point. No. I had that as a throwaway line.
Yeah, well, but you sold it much better than they did, is my point. The summation you just gave. The Ben and Betty stuff this episode is not good.
No.
And when they volunteered, I'm like, good. They're heroic. They want to help. They're volunteering. I have no problem with that. The commander's saying, oh, okay, you can be part of it. But here's what I thought it was going to be. There was going to be, they normally have security, like 1 security guard, 2 security guards, whatever security normally is. They're going to beef it up. So they're going to add another person and then maybe also Ben and Betty. I didn't think security would be just Ben and Betty, which is ridiculous. The only time we've seen them do security that I could recall was the first or second episode when they were running the front desk. And that sort of security is the kind of security I can do. It's just like I got to check an ID. And if there's a problem, the real security comes in. You know what I mean? So that bothered me from the commander point of view too. Like you said, like, oh, she's calling in security. Great. Just Ben and Betty? If they were there and they messed stuff up for the real security force, fine. But it's right there. I was like, that's not going to be good.
I guess the easiest way I can describe this episode and to an extent next episode is with a grain of salt.
I can describe it as up and down because there's a lot of stuff I like and a lot of stuff I don't like. And it's just like overall it evens out to be pretty good, but it's uneven. It's weird,
Yeah.
But so
they jump out. Oh, go for it.
I was going the crew member, the comm girl, is on the watch once again, giving her lines. Like, it's probably not going to build up to anything, but I love the idea that in 5 episodes she's going to be like, "Come on, team, I'm driving," and shooting out the window or something.
Exactly. Yeah, I got the Gigazord.
Yeah.
They jump outside. The team sees a mysterious figure that we Action Activate knows as Gavon in the show. We don't know who this guy is yet.
Correct.
So they go, "Hey, this guy clearly looks kind of like a ranger, but he's taken some Morphex. Let's immediately hold him up at blaster point and just kind of see what he has to say. We can't understand him. We're going to shoot him."
I don't have much problem with this setup. Here's why. He looks like a ranger. Lots of villains look like rangers. He just, that doesn't mean anything, what he looks like. And again, but what they see, the whole thing is we shouldn't jump to conclusions. Yeah, because he looks like an armored alien, whatever. But he's stealing Morphex. We later learn he's good and he needs it and whatever. That's fine. He's stealing it. He didn't ask. He didn't, so it makes perfect sense that as, a paramilitary pseudo law enforcement thing, they pull their gun, say, hey, and they don't shoot. They say, hey, freeze, don't move, don't touch that. And he's like, oh, and they're okay, don't move. And he's like, well, I'm just going to get it. And they're like, hey, and he's like, well, I'm just going to. And so then they shoot him. So, and he can't speak English. So the heroes meet, they always fight. It happens in comics, it happens in Power Rangers. We know they're going to do it. But if you remember Sheriff Skyfire in Ninja Steel, they're just sort of like, I don't believe you. You're criminals. They start fighting. That's how it usually happens. This was plausible. He looked like he was stealing. They couldn't communicate. A fight ensues. I have zero problem with that.
Okay. Like I said, this one I'm like, eh. And also, you're the one who's taking the time on these points, and I'm like, they do this, and then we go.
I got notes. I got to use them.
I have notes too, and I'm on my 4th note.
All right. Well, Steel is awesome in this episode,
He
as
is.
always. And he says something, and Nate's like, I don't speak evil alien. He's like, you don't? Just a fun throwaway line.
Yeah, Steel in these episodes is one of the redeeming things where he kind of says what we're all thinking and just addresses it.
Yes.
So, like, they have their kind of back and forth with Gavon. They shoot at him. He teleports out, and they take the device that he had. They don't know what it is.
Right.
And
They're going to put it in the vault.
we're kind of unsure. Now we're going to the cyber dimension of Pointy Evil, and Evox is damaged from the human DNA of the mayor and is still confirmed as a Morphex junkie.
Yes, absolutely. And they're also, not only is he a Morphex junkie, but because they're out of Morphex, they're stuck in the cyber dimension of evil. They can't send Gigadrones, they can't send anybody. And so here, all of a sudden, this rhino monster shows up, and he's like, hey, I'm Ryjack! I did not like that.
What did you not like?
I don't have a problem with the character design. I don't have a problem with he teleported in because he has different power source. The voice, I'm not sure if I like or don't like. I don't hate it, but
I'm fine with it.
I'm fine with it. I couldn't decide if I like it or not, though. That's different than disliking it. But what I don't like, the scene itself is fine, but from a storytelling point of view, they introduce this mysterious Gavon character, and we're like, oh, he seems evil. They, whatever. Then they lock him up, don't they? Oh, no, he got away.
He teleported.
Right, but we're supposed to believe, especially for kids, we're supposed to be like, he's the bad guy. Immediately, Ryjack shows up, and he's like, no, I'm the bad guy. And I feel like he could have showed up, and they could have had this plan, and then later it's revealed he's Ryjack. Just to kind of make the mystery last a little longer. I don't know why they revealed it the next scene.
I didn't hate this as much because it's still from, regardless of what perspective you have as the viewer, go, why are they still being mean to this guy? He's not Ryjack. That guy's Ryjack. And
Right.
You kind of have that struggle of why are you going into that room? That's where the killer is. And they do it anyway kind of thing.
I guess. I mean, I like horror movies, so I get that. But no, actually, I get annoyed at dumb people in horror movies too sometimes. But I prefer, there's a scene later on where the Rangers are fighting Ryjack, and he's like, I'm Ryjack, and they're like, you're Ryjack? And I think it'd be fun if, as the audience, that's when we learned it as well. And again, for you and I who know Gavon, it's not going to work. But I'm thinking of people who are kids or don't know. It doesn't ruin it. It's just, I don't know. The fact that it's the very next scene, it just seems like.
I think it's so clear that Gavon is like a hero that it kind of I get it. The problem I had with the scene was different than yours.
Okay.
So he's in there. He's like, "Hey, I'm Ryjax." Or Ryjack. I initially put Ryjax because I think it's a cooler name.
Agreed.
I did put a note. I'm like, I hope this voice is James Davies. I don't know who it is, but I hope it's James Davies.
Oh.
So he immediately out of the gates says, hey, I have this megaphone that reanimates people based on old weapons. Hey, what's this? Oh, cool. Boom. Gold Vargoyle. That was awesome. What
agree.
I didn't like was he showed that he is clearly the strongest guy we've seen and goes, yeah, Evox, you seem to be really weak. I'm just going to work for you.
Because Evox had information he needed, and Evox, even if he could beat Evox, he had Scrozzle, Blaze, Roxy, a bunch of Tronics. It's not, and he has all those.
He could have destroyed them and then reanimated them for his army.
You're assuming he could defeat all of them in one fight. I don't think
he can beat all of them.
Scrozzle could have activated all the Gigadrones they had there. They can't teleport them to Earth, but he could just turn them on.
It was a weird dynamic when we go, Evox, we have no materials and you've never been weaker. By the way, here's a guy that comes in, is clearly stronger than you.
Did he hear that?
Did
he hear that? He might not
didn't.
know. So he doesn't know Evox is weak. He just sees this cabal of villains, and this is the head villain, so he's the strongest.
But he immediately didn't test him, didn't anything. He's like, yeah, I'll just work for you.
Because he's not a fighter. He has fighting abilities, but he's a collector. He's like us. He just wants the rare stuff. Yeah, he'll fight if he has to, but he just wants to go and get those sweet, sweet exclusives.
Yeah. It also upset me how Evox was like, yeah, and he's going to work for me, and then we're going to double cross him. It's like, dude, you're in no position to try to do any of this. You better just hope he doesn't wise up and destroy you and bring you back. That's all I'm thinking through this whole scene.
I guess, I don't know. I did not have those concerns.
That's kind of what I had. Let me just make sure I didn't miss anything.
While you're looking at that, the voice, I want to be clear. I don't think the voice, whoever's doing the voice is not doing a bad job.
Why do you think the voice is such a bad job? Why do you keep harping on that?
I'm just not sure how I feel about it for that character, or it's so different than everyone else, which can be a good thing, but maybe it kind of reminds me of like an Australian outback like poacher or something, which I guess.
Yeah, like space
Yeah, I
Australia.
guess that kind of makes sense. Yeah. Well, I guess it kind of makes sense if he's supposed to be this like collector, but he's also a rhino, which would normally be killed. I don't know. It threw me off a little. I guess is that's it just took me a while to get used to.
What did you think of Gold Vargoyle?
I thought it was cool that Vargoyle came back. I preferred his original colors.
Yeah,
I think it's a bummer that he didn't last very long.
yeah.
I
I
mean,
think let's see what else I had. Oh yeah, so immediately after they have him and he leaves, Evox plans on double crossing him and not sure why they have the help. Then we cut back to Ben and Betty who set up a marble trap. I'll let you take this because I'm usually the one who poo-poos what Ben and Betty do. I'm gonna let you do it this time.
um, it's hard to know like what is the best, what is the worst gag with Ben and Betty. Because as we said, it's going over 2 years, and there's these big breaks, and I forget what happened when and whatever. But this is in the running for one of my least favorite gags.
It's pretty bad.
It's pretty bad. It's bad beginning to end is the thing. Because sometimes like the setup's okay, but the setup is terrible. I wrote Ben and Betty Home Alone traps because literally they're like, let's put some strings and like an intergalactic villain is coming to steal powerful weapons. And going back to my other thing, it's just Ben and Betty, no other security, like, and they just literally have strings. And I'm like, and I thought I was making it better than it was because I thought each string, like one, the anvil's gonna fall, and two, it's gonna shoot dust at him, and three, no, every string just made marbles fall, all of them. Okay, that's stupid, and I hate it. Then they like hide behind the thing. Well, I'm getting it. Wait, did that happen yet? No, it did happen. It all happened right away too. So then they're hiding behind the thing, and like now we wait, ha ha ha, and then they start getting sleepy. What time? Like it seems like it's the middle of the day. Fine, whatever. Take shift, but no, they're getting sleepy. One of them is like, I'm hungry. The other's like, I have to go to the bathroom. It's like, hey, do you think we could sneak out? Inconsistency in their character, which we've talked about before. Sometimes they're trying their best and they mess up. Sometimes they're trying their best and they do well. But sometimes they're just like, hey, let's slack off. Who cares? We're idiots. And, I don't. They feel like different characters sometimes from episode
Yeah,
to episode.
literally from last episode to this, it feels
Yes.
completely different. Where
Yes.
last episode they were awesome. This episode, whoever's in charge of writing them just doesn't care about them at all.
Yes. And so the setup was stupid. And then, okay, one of them, again, I'm not a security guard, but I would think if you and me were guarding something and we weren't supposed to leave, but we had to leave because we had to pee or we had to eat, one of us would leave and the other would stay. We wouldn't say, we need extra security. Let's just, it's fine. We could abandon it for a minute. That's crazy. Like, and so they both decide to leave, and then instead of having some way to disarm the traps, they start carefully stepping through it, and it's like, what?
Ben sneezes, they fall. Then the Rangers come and help them.
No,
while the
no,
marbles
don't
are
even
there.
skip ahead. Don't even skip ahead. Ben sneezes. They don't fall. They don't fall. Okay, here's Ben and Betty, right? And it's perfect that I'm using these figures that are not posable, that kind of, they flip up in the air and go like, woo, and then land. It's not even like they use CGI so the actors didn't get hurt. I understand sometimes that you got to do that and make it a little bit cartoony. But they do this weird flip, and they do this a couple times on the show with Megazords and with characters, where they clearly take an image and instead of having the
And
actor,
just go,
yeah,
bloop, bloop, bloop.
right, the actor isn't flipping around in front of a green screen or jumping down and they exaggerate. They're just like they're rotating it in Photoshop or After Effects or whatever, and then it lands. And they do that with both of them. It's terrible. And
It's awful.
And I compared it to Home Alone. You watch Home Alone and you see the villains trip on the marbles and fall on their back. It looks like it hurts. It's kind of funny, If they were gonna go for that gag, why wouldn't they sell it the way you always sell it? Like flat on the back. Woof. That's it. It wouldn't save the whole thing, but at least it would be a good pratfall. It was terrible. It was started bad. It's a bad setup, terrible CGI, terrible joke, and it ruins their characters. Again,
Yep.
I don't know if it's the worst one they ever had, but it's definitely in the running, and I hated it.
The garbage one was pretty bad. That may be my worst. That's the one I always think
The
of.
garbage one didn't hurt their characters the way this one did. The writing on
True.
this hurt their characters, so that makes it worse to me. A bad joke you could walk off, but yeah. Anyway, you take over.
So we all agree that part was terrible. Probably, honestly, what bumps it down one or multiple grades at the end. But we see Gavon teleport into the base after they left. Great.
Yeah.
Awesome. You had one
Perfect.
job and
Yeah.
you ruined it.
Yep.
He trips an alarm. This part's actually kind of cool because the Rangers, just kind of a sidestep for a sec,
Mhm.
you can tell a lot of this is American footage because
Yes.
we see the Rangers do a lot of stuff on Morph, which is a nice little like add-in that we don't get to see as often because of Sentai footage.
I
So
agree.
they come in, they see him like, hey, they still think he's
He took a
Ryjack.
device which they think is a weapon.
Yep.
Yep.
Devin super speeds to get him,
Which is
holds
awesome.
him down. Everybody else grabs him, and I even put right here. I'm like, I'm pretty sure that thing is a translator. And
Yeah.
and then from there, they
Although actually, I don't know that it was a translator. I think it was a power source that let him have the power to activate his translator. Is what it was.
yeah. Well, we find that later, but
Yeah.
at this moment, I'm like, I think that's a translator.
Yeah.
And that's why we're having
Yeah.
a good
Same.
time about it.
Same.
So from there, we get to see kind of what's going on with them. They lock him up again, like actually properly lock, or they didn't lock him up before. Now they lock him up. That's
Right.
what it was.
And
So they lock him up now.
who helps them lock them up? The Beast Bots. And I had a thought because they're holding them and the Beast Bots come in. They're like, "Ooh, what's going on?" And I was like, oh yeah, the Beast Bots are in this show because once again, it's been like
We
so
never
many
see them.
episodes, and it's like it's so random when they decide. And again, I understand they're not the stars, but like if they were in the background or showed up every now and then, like it's just very odd that like yeah, I literally forgot they were in the show until they showed up. I'm like, oh right, yeah, them.
To me, the way that the B spots are, I think of it, and you'll get this reference, but I'm sorry if most people don't. In Swingers, they paid so much money for the Jaws theme song that they used it any moment they could. Those are expensive suits. I would use them anytime
Yeah.
I could. 'Cause it's
Yeah.
like, let's get our money's worth. Let's not just pop it in every once in a while and
Right.
let it be in the back. Like,
Right. Yeah, I agree.
frustrating.
And you could argue that the suit actors, but Jax doesn't need a suit actor. Just put him on a shelf somewhere. You know.
Exactly.
Um.
You take it from here.
Okay. So next we're talking about. So we got. I wrote good device for bringing in other foot soldiers. Putties. Okay. Vivix. Oh. Okay.
Oh, so
Okay.
Ryjack.
Ryjack. So this is where I thought it should be revealed. They captured him. He comes and he's Ryjack. So he has this device, which I wrote down somewhere else, but I don't have it in front of me now, where he could like reanimate people, make clones of them, whatever. And I was saying that's a good device for bringing in anything from any other season, and he does. He brings in Putties. He brings in Vivix, which is great foreshadowing for what we know is to come. That he uses those specific ones, but it also could be used at some point to bring anyone. Well, villains, I guess. You're probably not going to do heroes, but anyone at any way they want, and it'll have a control collar. But still. But I did find it interesting. Again, Putties, okay. We've established probably Beast Morphers are in the same dimension as Mighty Morphin. So Putties makes sense because this guy's from outer space. He's not from a different dimension. Vivix are from the Dino Charge dimension, which they've established is a separate dimension. So does that mean he travels through dimensions too? Or it was again a weird sort of like casual, by the way, I probably got these guys from another dimension. Like I noticed it. Yeah, I noticed it and it was worth commenting on. Also, he has all them, which is cool, by the way. I don't want to gloss over that.
I want to take a moment for that. So this part was not spoiled for me. The part that Gavon was in this was spoiled, which is unfortunate, but this part was awesome because I literally stopped and went,
yeah.
We got the foot soldiers. All right. So this is one of those things that's kind of been a theme last episode and this episode where I know this is an analogy you really like. I felt like all of these episodes are like pizza. Even when they're bad, if you have any sort of crossover, they're still good.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
Some of them, like last episode, were amazing pizza that I've had. And this one, a little more DiGiorno's, but still tasty.
I agree, and I had said after last episode, where are they going to go? Because I know they're not going to do the big thing, but is it going to be a filler episode? And it's not a filler episode. I mean, arguably it's a filler episode because the main plot hasn't, but it's not. It's not a filler episode. They got this crazy crossover and all this fun stuff happening. So it's the perfect thing to segue between the setup and the payoff that we're going to get in a few episodes. Because I wasn't bored. I wasn't like, oh, when are we getting to the next one? It was exciting. One thing I noticed though with the foot soldiers, I guess it was kind of spoiled for me. I didn't know they were going to show up this episode, but I knew we were going to get Vivix and Putties at some point.
Yeah.
So that wasn't. It was cool, but it wasn't a huge shock. But did you notice none of them had collars? Because his whole thing is he reanimates them and they get collars. So I was unclear if he was reanimating destroyed Vivix and Putties, or he could just manufacture them the way Zed could, or.
So the way I took it was Putties and Vivix and any kind of foot soldiers are sentient to an extent, but they're kind of like hive mind-ish.
Sure.
So
But
I
how did he
think
get
because
them then?
he had, old pieces of clay or whatever
Oh, so
Vivix
you
or
think he did like clone revive them, but they don't need collars, and so he just didn't bother putting the collar
yeah,
on?
like foot soldiers are kind of just like, oh yeah, here go, and you're bad guys, and
Okay.
I'm controlling you, and they're
Th-
like, okay.
Okay, fair enough. I thought it was a thing when he resuscitated somebody, they automatically got the collar, but I guess he could
But that
change
was
it.
a specific person. These are like
Right. No, no, no.
theoretically mindless
I'm with you
drones.
that he doesn't need it on them. That I'm fine with. I thought it was an automatic thing though that the collar went on. But maybe it takes more resources, so he turns that option off. Fine, whatever. Uh,
Yeah,
I made a note here too, which you mentioned before. Civilian fight. Lots of civilian stuff, which is good. We don't get to see it as much anymore, and it made me think of Mighty Morphin and Zeo and some of those early seasons where there was a
exactly.
lot
It,
of
it
civilian
gave a
fights.
good
Yeah.
nostalgic feel for these fights that we don't
Yes.
always get.
Agreed. And I thought it was a good fight. There was a lot of using the environment, the Devin with the ladder and stuff like that, and like
Mm.
it was
I
a
had a
fun fight. Yeah.
I had a question for you. Do you remember when we watched Dino Charge if the Vivix had those weapons all the time?
Ah, man, I don't remember.
I don't either. Like I saw them and I'm like, when one person had it, I'm like, oh, maybe I forgot. And it's kind of like when the putties have their blade, their
Yeah.
rock and whatever. But I'm like, I really don't remember every Vivix having this when they fought.
I haven't watched Dino Charge since it was on the air, which it was a couple of years. I mean, it's not that long ago, but it's been a few years, and
Yeah.
I've watched a lot of Power Rangers since then, and
Yeah.
those sort of details start to blur together.
If you guys remember or don't remember or anything like that, let us know down below because I'm curious. Just kind of if I was the only one that thought that,
Mm.
I'm sure that they had him in the show and I just didn't remember, or it's like, no, it was really prevalent in the Sentai, not. So like, if you guys
Oh, I
know,
see.
let us know.
It'd be interesting if it was prevalent in the Sentai, since this was, like you said, obviously American footage. So,
Because these are clearly American putties and not the kind of putties we saw in Zoo Ranger.
well, but also it was American actors fighting them, so it's clearly
Well,
not
yeah,
Sentai
yeah,
footage.
that's
Yeah.
what I'm saying.
But
But you
not
know,
Z putties. You notice that specifically, not
yes,
Z putties. Yeah.
which is also interesting.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
Um,
keep on keeping on.
Devin, when they're about to like blast him, uh, I already forgot his name, and Rylox, not Rylox.
Ryjack.
I'm mixing Rhinox and Ryjack. So Ryjack, he says something. He's like, "Oh, you're gonna be you don't know your history. These are putties and Vivix." And Devin says, "You like history? Good, because you're gonna be history."
Yeah, I know that was
I like that.
definitely a Ranger line.
Yes, but
One
here's
thing
the.
to pick. Oh, go for
Well, I
it.
was saying, there's a few of those in this episode and in this season. And I'm not a huge fan of how gaggy and jokey sometimes Power Rangers gets, but I think this show, Beast Morphers in general, has done a pretty good job of sprinkling a few in here and there. And the last couple episodes this season, whoever's writing them is hitting it just right. Where I'm like, okay, that's kind of a cool hero thing to say, as opposed to, oh, groan, he's just making a joke to make a joke again.
Yeah,
It did.
not gonna name any previous Red Ranger names, Troy or what's his name?
I don't know.
Didn't Troy do puns a lot? And so did the other guy you like from Samurai.
Um, Megaforce in general had a lot of puns. I don't know that Troy specifically did. And did Jaden have a lot? I don't know. I remember his character more than his morphed fight thing, and he was a very kind of serious, stoic. He wasn't but maybe he got jokey when he was in suit. I kind of don't remember that part of it. But yeah, I guess here's my line on jokes. Hopefully it's a little bit more funny, but if the joke diffuses the tension of the season of the scene, I don't like it. If it's like this is more like Spider-Man, like he's fighting somebody, he's making a joke
Very
about,
quippy.
yeah, and I like that, but there's still a sense of danger. But often you'll see like every single ranger makes 3 jokes in a row, and it's like they're clearly not worried about this fight at all. You know what I mean? They're in the middle of fighting, and it's like, so it just takes me out of it a little. And if they're not funny, that makes it even worse. But anyway, go ahead.
So for this fight specifically, taking a look at my notes again. Oh, so last week I mentioned how whoever is the stuntman for Silver in the last episode did really good.
Yes.
Whoever that is in general, they clearly go, you get to do the cool stuff, because they did another recognizable trick. They did a cheat 720 hook kick. What that means
Tony
is
Hawk can't even do that.
he does the 900. That's different. 900's 2.5 spins, 7's 2 full rotations. So he spins in the air and does 1. I can't do it because I'm plugged in. But 1, 2, hook kicks a bad guy in suit, in helmet. Super awesome. Totally engaged in this fight.
It was a great fight. It makes me wonder though, if he, we're presuming it's a male, we don't know, but if he is like the best martial artist, stuntman, whatever, that gets all the cool stuff, wouldn't it make more sense to give it to someone other than the guy in the big suit? Because if he's that good in the suit, imagine if he was in a regular ranger suit or doubling for Rory Travers or something. Like it could do something even better. You know. Or maybe
I
he
mean,
has to be that good to be able to operate in the suit at all. I
but
don't know.
that's the thing. Like, I don't know if you know, but Dan Southworth was a Ranger suit stuntman before he was Quantum.
I don't know if I knew that, but I know he's like an exceptional martial artist and stunt person.
Yeah,
So
that
yeah.
was part of the thing. Is he was on Rangers for so long, and they're like, "Oh, you're pretty good, and you act. All right, cool."
Yeah,
And like did
that's
that.
awesome.
So with this, I don't know if
Somebody else
there's
was
some
I think it was Yoshi, right? He was like on the Power Rangers stunt team, like the road
think
show,
so.
like not on TV, but he would play like the Mighty
Mhm.
Morphin on like something, and then he got yeah. So,
Potentially.
yeah,
I think you're right. Oh, yeah, I think he mentioned that at a convention.
yeah.
Like he may have mentioned that at Morphicon or something. But whatever, whoever Silver is, I
Let him
should
be a
probably look
ranger.
at the IMDb. But like, yeah, let him be a ranger. They're doing great
It's
stuff.
probably
At
some
least
56-year-old Japanese man that they brought over that's been working on the
either
show
that
forever.
or it's like a 30-something guy that I've seen on YouTube in like martial arts videos multiple times and would be crazy stoked to see be a ranger. One of the two.
Yeah.
It's no in between. It's A or B only. Ryjax one shot Zoe and Ravi, which I'm
Yes.
like, once again, why is he working for anybody? He is just whole different level.
Yeah.
One shots them. What wins? Guns win in Power Rangers Beast Morphers. And what did he do? Pew pew! Boom!
Yeah.
Took out 2 out of 5 Rangers like that. And he's working for Evox? That upsets me.
I, I like there's a logic to what you're saying, but it doesn't upset me at all. I don't know why. It just doesn't. I think it's because we know how weak Evox is, and we know what the exact strengths and weaknesses of all of his minions. This guy doesn't, and why if he could beat these Rangers and get the information he needs, why fight Evox? Like why do it? He's Evox is like power mad, wants to conquer everything. This guy just wants to collect some stuff. He's not interested in all that. You have more effects. I don't care. Like I don't know.
I guess.
What?
I think this is what upsets me, and this is the hill that I'm dying on, and your hill was the hill of marbles that was poorly executed by Ben and Betty.
Don't pretend like that didn't bother you too, though.
It didn't bother me like it bothers you. You're like, I get it, but I moved on from it. And from that, I'm like, I get it, I moved on from it.
Well, like I said, the marbles bother me, but it was the character assassination that really
No,
bothered me.
I'm talking about scene for scene
All right,
and
all
the
right.
backstory that trickles. That's kind of where we're
The
at. But
next
keep on
scene,
keeping on.
we're back to Grid Battle Force, and they're talking about, oh, so that was Ryjack. So who's that other guy? Maybe we should talk to him. But before they do, they have the weapon, and Steel's like, yeah, there must be some kind of great weapon, a gun. Pew, 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 pew. Again, Steel, thank you.
Oh yeah, Steel does do the
Yeah.
pew pew. I'm sorry, I was reading my notes, and as you said that, I read my parentheses pew pew sound.
Yeah, again, just taking a scene that was kind of like whatever and putting a nice little fun button in there.
Steel is the sprinkling of like, how do we make this scene not awkward and like kind of keep the story going? All right, Steel gets to talk.
I should probably look at the credit. Well, I probably shouldn't because I don't want to like get preconceived notions. But I should probably look at the credits for who writes what episodes and what teams are on them and stuff. I'm not going to because I don't want to go into an episode thinking, oh, so and so wrote it, so I'm not going to like it. But I do wonder if like the same person is writing the comedy of Steel that is writing the comedy of Ben and Betty, because it's Steel is consistently good. He has a couple stinkers, but he's consistently good and it fits his character. And they're all over the map, and I don't understand how the same person could be writing both.
I think that might be a good hiatus episode for us to go over after the season is done. We look and go, who wrote these? Okay, these people happen to write these episodes that we really didn't like. You, so and so, John Doe, you're the reason I disliked the Tommy Tuba episode or whatever.
I'm interested in doing that for my own edification, but I'm not loving the idea of an episode where we're like, hey, we're gonna call out writers that we think stink. It seems kind of
No,
mean-spirited.
here's how we would do it. We would just break down episodes we like and don't like from a pass-fail, like
Sure.
just kind of arbitrary thing, and see if there's patterns, mostly for the positive, but there's one or two negatives. It's like, could it be because of this person? Who's to say? It's a writer's room, not a single writer.
I'm gonna say right now, I don't want to do that episode.
All right, guys, you heard it here first from Gazbot. We're 100% doing that episode.
Again,
Just
privately, you and me talking about it, that's fine. But it's like saying who's your least favorite ranger. It's like I never like those conversations. It's like why?
I've done it.
Yeah, privately, we all have done it, but I don't,
I've done it publicly.
when you were the host of a show, or just on a random group, or
No, Action Activate. I said for a long time, oh, this season, this was my least favorite ranger. Now it's changed. Just
well, no, but you commenting on this team and disliking a certain ranger no, but I mean you see posts of like, hey, of all time, who's the worst ranger? What's the worst season? Or what, and we all have those opinions, and it's okay to have those opinions, but I don't know, I'm getting weird, but like I don't like glorifying, like I want to focus on what I like about something, not what I don't like. Does that make sense?
That's what I'm saying. I think it would be a good way of us seeing which episodes we like, and if there's one or two we're like, okay, maybe it was that, then we could just,
how can we keep from making that, even if we literally don't say the name of the writer, the viewers can easily look it up and go, oh, so it was Chrissy Chadwick that they hate, like, I mean,
we're not doing the episode anyway.
That's not a real writer. I just made that name up, I hope.
That is for sure a person on the internet. If you look up Chrissy Chadwick, it might be a person.
You know why I said it? Because I got worried that subconsciously, like, I remember that name.
You like had one in your head. Yeah. You're like, oh man, I read this comic one time. His name was it.
All right, we're way off course. Yeah,
per usual.
So they
what we left on was the best line in this episode. Pew pew from Steel.
Yes. They go to talk to who we still don't know they are. We're still calling him Gavon, who's in the jail cell. When we get in there, he's sick, and he's like, oh, I'm sick and everything. And they kind of make a quick turnaround because he wants the item. And Devin's sort of like, oh, you know what? I think he's sick. Maybe he needs this item. What are we going to do? I'm going to make a judgment call and decide to trust him. We know he's not the villain. We don't know if he's good, but he's in pain. Like I'm kind of okay with it because like he's in the middle of the base, whatever. So they give it to him.
He's in a jail cell, and there's 3 of us here.
Yeah. So they give him the mask, and he's like, and he gets all powered up, and because he's powered up, he turns on his translator. His name is Captain Chaku, which is a name I don't like.
Same.
And his voice was underwhelming. The actor has sort of a generic kind of hero voice, but I did prefer Sheriff Skyfire's over the top.
Yes.
So I kind of thought it would be somewhere in that, but that's an opinion. That's a subjective thing. The guy playing him / doing the voice, I don't have a problem with, but he is either a robot or someone in Iron Man armor type stuff. So I wanted a filter. I wanted an echo. I wanted a, I wanted it. I didn't want him to go, oh yes, I'm Captain Chaco. I wanted like, I am Captain Chaco. I am from the galaxy. I wanted something on there, and it just, I don't know, it made him less mysterious and interesting when he's like, oh hi, what's up? It's me, Captain Chaco. I'm from Virginia. I like it just seems so normal. I don't know.
One thing that like the first thing I thought of was I'm like, oh, he's like a more generic Blue Centurion voice.
Yeah, Blue Centurion had a better voice.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Blue Centurion is what I wanted. What we got was you versus the guy they tell you not to worry about.
I also thought the name was weird. Like the captain.
It was. Okay. It doesn't fit at all.
You know what? I looked it up, and it's the metal heroes sometimes use as their henshin call out. They'll say Joe Chaku. And so apparently they took the second half of that Chaku and made it his name. And I like when they reference stuff like that. But I feel like they could have taken the name of the original Gavon actor or anything else, or I don't know. It just Captain Chaku.
It just doesn't work. Like every time I wrote these notes for this episode, I was like, do I just change it like retroactively to Chaku or leave it as Gavon? I'm like, I just want to leave it as Gavon.
I added as Gavon for about half of it. Yeah.
I also don't know, like, and it could be a rights thing. I don't know. Why can't they just call him Gavon?
I'm guessing it's a rights thing, maybe to avoid confusion because he's a very different character.
Yeah.
But I think they still could have called him Sheriff because it's Space Sheriff Gavon. Why not call him? And here's the other thing: we had Sheriff Skyfire, who was Jiraiya. They're both part of the Metal Heroes series. I don't know that much about Jiraiya, but they're connected in that universe.
Yeah.
I don't know why they didn't connect them in the Power Rangers universe to make them
Same.
from the same police force out there. And he could have been
Or
like,
even like Blue Centurion, like we talked about. He's out there somewhere. You
yes,
could just name drop him. We
yeah,
already saw the Turbo Blaster.
yes. And I wasn't sure that maybe they didn't, but and again, I looked this up after to make sure I wasn't crazy. But Captain Chaku is of the Galaxy G5 Police Force. He's the Galaxy Police Force, and Sheriff Skyfire was from, I think, Space Police. So there's like very similar generic sounding things, but specifically different. And I don't
Yeah.
know why. It would have, and
Yeah, it
because
makes no
they've been doing
sense.
so many references, it would have been awesome if he goes, "I'm Captain." Let's say not Chaku, because here's the other thing: alliteration is great, and it's two C's, but Captain Chaku doesn't really flow. If he was like Captain Chloroform or whatever, "Hi, I'm Captain Chloroform," which is terrible, but it flows off the tongue better.
Yeah.
I'm Captain Chloroform, and Nate could have been like, "Oh, with the Galaxy Police. I remember hearing about Captain Skyfire aiding the Ninja Steel Ranger." Like, it's a throwaway
Yeah.
line, but it connects
Something.
the universes. It's an easy win that they threw away, and
I
I
think
don't know why.
the thing about it is if this was like the only thing we've seen that's like any kind of crossover, that would be something we could say, but we could write it off as it's a one-off. Like
Yeah,
last season, for example, if you didn't have Dimensions in Danger and you just had the Skyfire crossover, you're like, whatever.
yeah.
This, it's like you're shoving so much connection down our throat. What's another piece?
And we want
That's
that
all you
connection
need.
down our throat, to be clear. Please
Yes,
continue.
it's not like, oh no, please quit making everything tie together and be better and be
Yeah.
unified. It's like no, like connected to Skyfire,
Yeah.
connected to Blue Centurion.
Yeah.
Say that your mentor was a Phantom Ranger. Whatever.
Whatever.
Like just do it. Don't make him his own thing
Just
100%.
do it.
Do it. So after this,
Yes.
just because we're getting like there's still parts of the episode, but it wraps up pretty quick, spoiler alert. So I have in my notes written verbatim, Chaku gets recharged. Now he can translate into English.
Yep.
He tries to heal Ravi with a blue fart.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true.
He
And
put
they were all very laissez-faire about it too. He's like, "I don't know if this will work on your people. Good luck." Like he could have killed them. They're like, "Well, all right."
yeah, like, yeah, it's worth it.
Also,
And it's funny
at
that
this
he did
point,
it there and he didn't do it to Zoe.
I assumed we just saw it off camera. At this point, I thought he was a robot.
Okay.
Like I know Gavon is not a robot, but I thought
Yeah.
Captain Chaku was a robot. Did you ever
Yeah.
think he was a robot?
I got spoiled about Captain Chaku without his helmet,
Oh,
so that's how I found out about it. So
that
so
stinks.
your feelings last episode or my
Yeah.
feelings this episode?
Well, this goes into like kind of an up and down, and I forget what happened this one versus next one, but like an up and down of things like why is he never taking the suit off? This is ridiculous. Maybe he's a robot. I guess he's a robot. If he's a robot, it's fine. But like I kept thinking like they got to justify this, and they did keep justifying it. So they, to their credit, I have these questions. But at this point, I thought he was a robot, especially because he seemed sick. Well, and they put the thing in, and he's like, "Oh, it charged me up," and he's like, "Oh, and he needed that to be charged up." I'm like, "Oh, he's a robot. Okay, fine, you know."
Yeah.
And that explains why, even though he's off duty, he's not really taking his suit off and all that stuff, you know.
Yeah, what
Yeah.
the straw that broke my metaphorical camel's back on why we're doing these reviews is I saw a photo of Chaku like this with his helmet up on Facebook, and I went, "Hey, Gaz, let's have a talk." But to be fair, I preferred that versus the spoilers you got last episode.
Yeah, I would have preferred that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
But the blue fart heals all,
Yeah.
wakes up Ravi eventually, and now we're
You know, it's-
diving into. Oh, go for it.
No, go ahead. That's for later. We're diving into the cyber dimension of evil.
Um.
Scrozzle brings back Blaze and Roxy, who were destroyed and
Yes.
they had no
Sorry.
more effects.
Okay. Yeah. So he brings them back. They're like, "Oh, sweet, you guys got some more effects. Awesome." And then they make their plan, and then we jump to Nate and Steel fighting a Gigadrone,
Yep.
and then Red, Red Ranger and Chaku fighting Vargoyle.
Vargoyle.
Now, one point I want to make is that similar to Mighty Morphin, this ties back in like the way you don't want it to, is for a review perspective, it was helpful. From a watch perspective, it brought back negative memories of Mighty Morphin for me. The Gavon suit is awesome. The Chaku suit is
It's
fine.
not-
When you see the scenes in this episode, you can clear as
Yeah.
day or
Yeah.
night, as the
Yeah.
case may be, see what is Sentai footage. Because when I see that chrome shininess,
Yes.
like the Dragon Shield back in the day, I'm like, sweet, Sentai footage. When I see dull silver, which I don't understand why they can't also make a chrome one if Aniki can do it.
Yeah,
Whatever.
I assumed I completely agree, and I had in my notes that like about the suit not being great. Um, I assume it's like maybe a stunt suit as opposed to a hero suit, and they're
Fair.
usually made dimmer and whatever. Why they didn't get the hero suit, I don't know, but maybe they're still filming Gavon episodes somewhere. I don't know. But the other thing is there's the original Gavon, and then was it G Gavon? There was like the updated one. I think it's like Gavon G. And the suit is the new Gavon. The helmet is the old Gavon, which is weird that they mixed them. Fine, whatever. But in addition to it barely lighting up ever and not being shiny, the plates on the legs don't look right. Like it looks just like silver stickers on tights as opposed to the armor pieces. And
Yeah.
there's a couple of scenes where like he sits down where he's just missing armor plates on his back. Like it's just like it's
Yeah.
weird. Like it's not just an inferior suit. It's like if it, it's
Wrong.
yeah, there's just it's weird and it's certainly not as good. But in this fight, yeah, he has the shiny suit, all his lights come on, he looks awesome. And this goes back to, well, I mean, I guess at this point you'd find out, but like this goes back to knowing what Gavon looks like. I'm like, why is he so not impressive? As you know, but
Yeah.
again, that's Captain Chaku. Captain Chaku is no Gavon.
Yeah. I do like the segue they gave of them fighting Vargoyle,
Yeah.
Vargoyle needing to get away, and then he randomly has
Well,
a motorcycle.
He gets the control collar cut off is an important thing.
Oh yeah, sorry,
Yeah.
you're right. So he's there, his control collar gets cut off or shut off, and then he's like, "Sweet, I'm out of here." And
Yeah.
just like Vargoyle would immediately leave, he has a motorcycle that somehow he got.
I that was random, but it made me laugh because it's like I can't
did.
teleport motorcycle. I'm like, fine. It amused me enough
Sure.
that I don't care. That was
Yeah.
amusing.
We get a decent little Sentai footage chase,
Yeah.
which I appreciated.
That whole thing. Wait, actually, I think am I getting ahead of myself?
There's a Gigadrone fight that's there.
Um,
It's not great, it's not terrible, but it happens at the same time.
I'm jumping ahead. I am jumping ahead though. Because I'm gonna talk about something else. The fighting they're doing though, yeah, it's a good Sentai fight. What I don't like, and this I think like this happens a lot. I don't know what these moves are called in the Sentai, or well, in the Tokusatsu because it's Gavon. But
Yeah.
he's like spiral strike, and then he kind of just does a straight kick, like a jumping kick. I'm no martial artist, but if it's called spiral strike, shouldn't there be some rotation of some sort?
Yes.
And so it's like that just looked like a flying kick of some sort. So that bummed me out.
Let me answer your question with a question.
Yes.
The same way that you think a spiral strike should, necessitate rotations for a kick, don't you think that a Cheetah Beast Blaster should be used for a blast effect?
I do. I
Same
think
riders.
yeah.
So we'll just leave it at that.
Okay. All right.
I'm with you. I
Yeah.
think they're staying consistent at being inconsistent.
But I give them, as much as I hate the Cheetah Beast Blaster, I give it more of a pass because clearly marketing and the money people said, we want to sell this, you got to put it in there. And so
Yeah.
they had to do what they had to do. This, they could have called it anything. You know what I mean? So, like, I don't, whatever. Even if it was called something dumb in the Tokusatsu, they could have fixed it, but, whatever. So yeah, then there's the Gold Zord is fighting the Gigazord, and there's this moment where the Gold Zord is sitting there firing, and the Gigadrone is firing, and they're like a foot apart from each other, and they're just like just point blank, just like in this position. I don't know why, but I thought that was hysterical. And then Steel flies by, and he shoots, and he's like, "Boy, I'm a great shot!" And the whole thing made no sense, but I loved it. It was just like,
Yeah,
what's
it was
happening?
good. I just love how he's
Fine.
like, "Oh, couldn't do it without me."
Yeah, that the whole thing was ridiculous and funny.
So they have that. Let's see.
Oh, Cruz joins up with them because they're gonna chase Vargoyle on
Yes.
the motorcycle.
Yes. So they have the fight. Fight's pretty good.
Yeah.
I actually enjoy it. They go to like the classic Sentai Canyon or whatever, where they film a lot of stuff. The fight's good. We have good little.
It's a motorcycle chase because Gavon calls down his galactic thing as well.
Yes.
So
they have the motorcycle chase. They fight. It resolves with our heroes winning and destroying Vargoyle once again. Woot woot.
Yes.
I
do want to say the whole motorcycle thing though I did enjoy. It looked kind of cheesy.
Oh, it did. It was
and
awesome.
old-fashioned, but it made me think of early Power Rangers. Made me think of Kikaida. Made me think of early Master Rider or Kamen Rider. Like all that. Like it had to be intentional. That they're like, let's kind of slow it down and not use so many crazy camera angles. It just felt like something from like late '80s, early '90s at best. You know? Yeah.
It was very classic in
Yes.
nature.
Yeah.
So we get that. Everything's good. My final notes are everyone is happy, and Ben and Betty have a good invention and get kudos. Yay! So we go back to the
I
base.
have more notes than you. No.
I know.
We got about 10 minutes till we hit an hour here, so I think.
Well, we also were
Okay.
gonna
Yeah.
potentially
Okay.
talk
Well,
about
let me
something
go through my notes then. And
Yeah,
then
go
we'll get
for it.
to, okay.
I said those were my final notes.
Okay.
What are
Okay.
yours?
During that fight, Gavon did this cool thing where he flipped over the blast. That was very cool. All
That
Sentai
was.
footage. Gavon powers up his sword, which is his finishing move. I thought it was cool that Devin did the Cheetah Beast, not the Cheetah Beast blast, but the whatever beast blast he does, and he fires, and then Gavon kind of basically jumps and times it so that it
Backflipped
hits
over it.
and
Yeah,
lands.
that part was so cool.
That whole thing was very, very cool. Goodbye to Vargoyle. Okay, Striker Megazord. Before, as they're about to combine it, I noticed something I've never seen before, and let me see if I could put it up here. I'm going to show it to them. You're not going to be able to see it, unfortunately, but something about the face. Oh, here we go. Okay. It's actually not the Striker Megazord. It's the Gold Megazord right before it combines. I'm going to put it on the screen here. So everyone now can see, I took a screenshot, and you see Silver flying over. And I realized that the Gold basically has like a red visor that it looks through, and then it's got these like sort of spiky things, or what, like for like a mouth, almost like a Optimus Prime kind of faceplate. But that's not how I saw it. I just put an overlay where the little things on top look like kind of Kermit eyes, and
Oh,
the
nice.
visor looks like a mouth. So it basically looks, and it's like yellow, so it looks like a big happy guy, like, "Hey, here I go!" And I know you can't see it right now, but the next time you see it, it really looks like the visor is a big happy open mouth, and I was very thrilled when I discovered
I'll have to
that.
look for that next.
Let me go back to us. There is us. Okay, and I'll go back to a two-shot. So that had blah blah blah, and they destroy it, and virus eliminated really quick. Oh, they also had said, didn't they say? Oh no, okay, never mind. Next scene, Ravi and Zoe are cured. Is this where we're at? Are we okay? You got notes here?
I'm done. Keep on going.
Okay, Ravi and Zoe are cured completely. Nate comes in. Oh, I think they missed an opportunity for a joke. As much as I say I'm not a big fan of jokes, there are going to be jokes. Here's an opportunity. They had this alien virus, and like, how's it doing? Are they doing better?
Virus eliminated.
Yes, virus eliminated. It was right there.
That would have been good. You're right.
Yeah.
Ninja Steel point for you.
Thank you very much. So Nate comes in and Zoe's sick, and he's like, oh, and it's good because they're following up on the fact that they're dating, but not making it a big weird thing. And he's like,
Yeah, exactly.
Here's a carrot smoothie. Again, following on their weaknesses that I forget they have most of the time now.
Yeah, same.
And then, oh yeah, good. By the way, Roxy and Blaze, the good ones that we never see anymore. Remember, they're in the show, I guess.
Kind of.
Okay, right, kind of. Who knows what they're doing the rest of the time? But
Never.
Ravi they're in love with each other. They're dating. They care about each other a lot at the very least. He's almost dying, and she doesn't even come to see if he's doing okay or anything. Terrible. Yeah.
Plot hole. Haven't heard that in a while.
Have a line where they're at another Grid Battle Force outpost in Antarctica or something. Just you gotta do something because it's ridiculous. Like.
Yeah,
all
it's
right.
pretty bad.
So, and there was a lot of time left. I remember being like, what are they going to still do here? There's the whole don't judge lesson, which we talked about earlier. But it's a good lesson that we hear a lot, but it was kind of weak in this one because he was stealing. So it's like they didn't judge him based on how he looked. They judged on the fact that he was stealing. Now, granted, it could be a Jean Valjean thing where he's stealing bread to save his family, but it's like, still, it wasn't completely unreasonable of them. But then I forget how it came up. Oh no, he said, "Well, I've heard of you Rangers, and it's great, and you're known throughout the universe, or whatever, and it's an honor." And Steel goes, "Yes, I do live up to the hype." And it's like, yeah, Steel, get
Steel
it. Steel
was really good.
When we got here to this point, I thought the team up was over. I thought this was the big team up episode, and it's done. And then they're like, "Oh yeah, Ryjack is still out there," and I'm like, "Oh yeah." I forgot because they beat Vargoyle, they beat the Gigadrone, they cured everybody. Yep. I literally was like, done with this story, and then they're like, no. I'm like, right, okay, cool. I'm down for a two-parter with Captain Gavon or whatever his face is. Chaku, yeah. Okay, now you had notes about Ben and Betty, or?
So Ben and Betty show another invention they have for the securing the vault, and it's a how would you describe it?
Rope cannon?
Yeah, they have a rope cannon that they need a specific key card that Ben and Betty are wearing in order for it not to target them.
Right.
Everybody quickly realizes that none of them have it. They're like, oh no, I actually liked this Ben and Betty joke.
It suffers. It's not that bad. It suffers from what came before. Well, one thing also, Nate like way overacted in this. Like I normally like what's his name, Abraham Rodriguez. Like I like his face acting stuff, but it was like the commander got shot with a rope, and she's like, oh, I'm tangled up. So they now know that it just shoots a rope at you. And Nate goes like, run! And it's like, really? That's a bit much, isn't it? Like worst case scenario,
Yeah.
rope shoots around you, but okay. And then they all kind of run around bumbling into each other, and all get hit with ropes.
And then just,
Yeah. And then the commander's like, well, good job. They thought they were going to get yelled at, but she's like, there's actually a pretty good defense system, which it is, which is why I don't like it, because
the last one made it seem like they're idiots, and now
they're
they
geniuses
actually
again.
I know.
Yeah, they're creating things that don't exist. Fine, they're a grid battle force. They have more effects. They have Avixel, but like, it's too much. It's too disparate.
Too inconsistent.
Too inconsistent. So yes, this ending joke, I was like in a vacuum, was fine, and the fact that the commander gave him kudos for actually doing a good job, even though it roped her up. Hey, that's character growth too. She's not just mad because like, hey, this is good for the base. Too bad, whatever. I got wrapped up. But the fact that it came after that other one is like, what is happening here? Like I don't understand how anybody could. Here's the thing. Often there are comedic characters or side characters that are terrible that I don't like or nobody likes or whatever. Like that happens. Ben and Betty is not that for me, or for us, I don't think. And for a lot of people, like I like the actors. I think they do some good comedic acting, and I like the characters that they're kind of involved and they care, and they're the everyman that wants to be heroes that are very relatable.
Yeah.
And the fact that they make mistakes and are klutzy and are not perfect is fine. But they're so inconsistent, it makes me angry because they could be really good characters. They could be like some of the best side comedic characters we've ever seen. They could be. They're not. They're barely average.
Get written poorly a lot.
Yeah, and it annoys me on the behalf of the actors and on behalf of whoever is writing the good parts, because I almost feel like, oh, I'm gonna write this and that'll work out and that'll kind of forward their characters and make them look good, and oops, they fell and that's funny, whatever. And then the next person's like, duh, me Ben Betty, fart, I'm a cartoon, and it's like I don't get it. I don't get it.
There's like somebody like us on the writers team that's like, oh no, they have so much potential, let's do this. And everybody's like, no, they're the comic relief. We just need to make them do dumb stuff and kids will laugh when they fall.
Here's the thing, they throw like, oftentimes people will be like, oh, well, look at Bulk and Skull and stuff. Here's Bulk and Skull were consistent. Whether you liked them, hated them, whatever. The type of humor that they had was similar throughout. The failings they had were similar out. They had motivations, and they also weren't like supposed to be heroes. Eventually, they become better, but they were like greedy, selfish, whatever. They had little schemes they were hatching, and it would fail, and it worked, and it was consistent. And over time, they grew and became kind of heroic, which is even better. Ben and Betty could have been that just over these 2 seasons. They could have been right up there with Bulk and Skull as like the best of all time.
I've said this many times.
It breaks my heart, which is why.
That's why I'm over it. Like,
there's a thin line between love and hate, and I love them, and it's making me hate it.
I know, and that's the problem. Like I've said, they could be Rangers. They're more than capable, and then they get written poorly. And this is another example, which is why I'm like, I already said it.
I have been Gazbot.
I have been the Big Dawg Defender, and give this an official Big Dog rating of a
we didn't give her
B minus.
I will give it a B. So I liked it slightly more than you did, I think.
Yeah. Well, also I got spoiled, so it's similar to last week's dilemma.
Well, we'll see what we think of part 2. Until then,
to the power.
To the power. And credits.
See you guys later.
Bye-bye. I feel like I maybe got a little too angry there.
I will say, and I say this in the nicest way I can, I was trying to get 2 episodes in. You rambled on a couple things, which is why I'm like, I'm done, are you?
I couldn't be.
I know, and I get it. I've been there. I'm not faulting you. I'm just letting you know. Well, because I know you have a hard stop.
If we could do the next one in 25 minutes, we could do it.
I can do the next one in 25 minutes. Can you?
I don't know. Let's find out. I'm going to stop recording.
Okay.